I thought we were going to have so much more material to talk about, but Kanye West, or I guess Ye as he's going by right now, Milo, Nick Fuentes, all walked into the Timcast studio, sat around for a little bit. Fuentes said like one line. Milo, I think, chuckled a couple of times, and Kanye West was trying to tell some stories, and Tim Pool was doing his same old Tim Pool stuff, which, again, I see a lot of people who I think are just trying to, maneuver their way into an invitation to the vaunted Timcast studios. And they're saying that, oh, he did such a good job. It's like, listen, it's a shit premise for a show, okay? Tim Pool is going to do his Tim Pool thing. We're going to talk about the news. We're just going to bring up stupid headlines, and then I just can't do anything outside of, riffing off of something else that somebody else written. It's like, yeah, we know your shtick, okay? And then you bring people from different walks of life, and you can't even have a conversation. The only time that show, two different times, okay? Two different times that show was ever interesting and worthwhile watching. It was back when Adam Krigler was his dedicated co-host, okay? If you guys remember way back in the day, like, they were peaking consistently, 40, 50,000 viewers per show. It was a much different dynamic. And then whenever Alex Jones shows up, because guess what? It's almost like it's a conversation at that point, because Alex Jones is going to do what the fuck Alex Jones wants to, and also put this under the auspices of Adam Krigler taking a blowtorch to Tim Pool, because the first time that he made any reference, Krigler this is, to how the fallout of the Tim Pool situation went down, he did all of this stuff on Friday, and any shred of respect I had left for Tim Pool, oh yeah, it was totally self-immolated. Well, not self-immolated, because Krigler thoroughly took a blowtorch to Tim Pool, okay? But this isn't supposed to be an indictment on Tim, okay? Because we could do that until we're blue in the face. He was the inspiration of this channel, mostly because I seen the style that he was doing, and I thought I could do it 1,000 times better. Now, I haven't mastered the algorithm like he has, but also at the same time, I don't yell at as many people, and I'm not completely and totally obsessed with money the way that he is. So I think I'm doing it just a little bit better, okay? And if I ever get a break, oh boy, I'm going to be taken over. But that's not the way it works, okay? Talk about Ye. Let's talk about the 25-minute appearance, just about, that he made. And yeah, he was trying to go into a couple of stories, and he checked Tim a couple of times. It's like, you gotta let me finish. It was him and that Luke fellow who was like, oh yeah, real edgy to have an Epstein shirt in 2020. Like, we got it, okay? You guys have your talking points. For fuck's sakes, let's fucking, move on a little bit. If you're gonna have, okay, arguably the most popular person on earth, and you want to continue to do your same old song and dance, we're going to talk about the news, and then we'll get into the topics that concern you. It's like, bro, you have people at the firestorm of one of the, I'll just say it, biggest story in the media, mostly because they're pushing it right now, okay? The big anti-Semitic dinner that happened, and Trump endorsed all of it. Kanye provided some insight into that stuff, okay? He was organizing, he wanted to have a dinner conversation with Trump, and this even predated him meeting up with Milo, who Milo's supposed to be Kanye's campaign manager at this point in time. Like, I don't know how all of this stuff works out, and he knew nothing about Fuentes, and this is Kanye, and then Kanye also confirmed that, he had no idea that I was going to be bringing the 3 different people with me. He named because I watched a little bit of the segment, and man, if they just would have fucking lightened up, I'm talking about Tim and his crew, they would have had a really good and very interesting conversation, but Tim Pool's going to be the fucking autistic spurg that he's always going to be. It's his way or the highway. We get it, Tim. Everywhere around you, it's all dedicated to Timcast. It's your show. But you should also know the type of characters that you're bringing on to the show. The way that you deal with Kanye West is going to be totally different than the way that you deal with the previously mentioned Alex Jones. And it's going to be different than the way that you'd handle some interesting female. Their names escape me when it comes to interesting females. But I joke, of course. But of course, honestly, like, Tim's never worked in a retail job, a real job in his life, so he doesn't know how to have real human interactions, okay? Everything is transactional, everything's about money, everything's about total engagement. Make sure that you curtail your words appropriately, unless, of course, I want to start to try to down talk and talk down to my guests. I wasn't a big fan of his performance, but then again, I'm not inkling to get a fucking, invitation. But then again, I'm also not going to say that Kanye was, completely in the right about, picking up shop and leaving, okay? He could have continued to press on, but it's his choice, and it's not like his campaign was going to go anywhere. He's political kryptonite at this point in time. And now you can see the media spin of all of the other rhinos or rhino adjacent politicians that are out there trying to link this to Donald Trump, and maybe we'll do something about that tomorrow, because this distraction, let's fucking call this what it is, okay? Kanye West is a very sharp guy, okay? He knows a lot of stuff, and he's a very interesting guy. A better interview with some people that, want to have some fun and discuss some topics. You don't need to be trying to push your own agenda when it comes to this stuff. Just let the guy talk, okay? If he ends up saying something stupid, that's on him. It's simply your platform. You can ask a couple of questions. Outside of that, just let him fucking go. Everybody's known forever that Kanye West is a wild guy, mostly. And again, he started to dive into this a little bit, and that would have been a very interesting line of questioning that you could have gone down, okay? Basically, this all stems from the fact that he's been handed off from one group to another person from the time he was young. It started with his single mother living status, okay? And then, handed off to a manager, then handed off to this group, and then handed off to the Kardashian family. All of this stuff is going to come back around, okay? Learning a couple of the different things that was out there, diving in deep, I can understand why he's found himself in the company of the vengeful Milo, because, hey man, let's just fucking call this what it is. This is the big reason that I stopped following Milo, okay? Because, he was interesting back in 2015, 2016 times when he was doing the Ben Shapiro gig so much better than Ben Shapiro ever did. And if he wants to go out there and he wants to launch a war against the Daily Wire and different cuck-servatives that are out there, totally fucking for that. Need to push back against those status quo endorsing do nothing assholes that are out there 1000%. But I remember this stuff going down. Now, obviously, this is a screenshot. He got kicked off of Parler for, I forget exactly the specific reasons, but that was right after their relaunch when they said that, it's going to be totally free speech and open. And then Milo got this weird ban for a second, and then he got brought back, and it's like, I thought you were going to be a free speech platform, but all of this stuff predated that as well. So these are screenshots. We can't pull it up. And Parler, I wasn't going to reactivate my Parler account. I think I have it deactivated. Anyways, but I wasn't going to pull that up just to double check these messages, because I remember seeing them and it's like, oh, so he's trying to make 2020 all about him. I understand, okay? And these, I remember these coming out in very quick succession, okay? Trump's SCOTUS appointments were pointless. To that which I agree. Gorsuch is probably the best of the bunch, but he's still unreliable. He's all right, but he's oh my god, he's so much better than what Brett Kavanaugh. We could have done without him, okay? I forget who brought it up. Would have been better off if he would have been, well, that would have also set a dangerous precedent, but then at the same time, just letting him fall to the wayside, having him step away in the face of the mob might have empowered them a little bit too much, but still, not having Kavanaugh on the bench would have been a much more, it would have been better. I don't know, man. I waffle back and forth on this one, but Kavanaugh, not a great appointment regardless, okay? But again, Trump's hands were kind of tied because Kennedy, who was the justice that Kavanaugh replaced, was handpicked by him, and the only reason that Kennedy would retire is because he could handpick his appointment, blasey, the way of politics, as it were. The Supreme Court has been politicized for a long fucking time, okay? And because it's the only branch that the Democrats don't directly control right now, they're big concerned about curtailing its power. Fucking weird how that shit happens. But anyways, no. And then Amy Coney Barrett, do I even need to go into the details on that one? She is fucking terrible. Oh, she was going to be really good on election lawsuits. Oh, what happened whenever they hit the desk? Oh, just fucking gone to the wayside. I think that's what all of this spurging out was in relation to, after it just kind of looked like, well, there's no further avenues and we're just going to have to fucking live with this shit that went on. And it's like, okay, great, wonderful, fantastic. The establishment and all of the people that were supporting, some sort of change really looked like we were on the outside looking in. Great, fantastic. And then ACB also doing a bunch of, fuck shit. What was her latest stunt? I remember back in 2020, she was all about I was touted as being the smartest, appointment ever. I basically know everything. I had to recuse myself from a bunch of different cases that were out there because, oh, heaven forbid, I couldn't get up to date on mask and jab mandates that I was ruling on at the federal level. But when it came to the Supreme Court level, I'd have to recuse myself on this type of an information dense case. And, I'll just have to leave it up to my other, conservatives on the bench to fuck everything up for everybody. So let Roberts and Kavanaugh side with the other side. Fucking worthless. So yeah, no, I agree with him on the fact that, yeah, the appointments were pointless. They pretty much sucked, okay? It was important. I don't know, man. If they aren't effective conservatives, is it really important if they're on the bench as a balance check? Whatever. We defended a selfish clown for nothing. Wait a minute. Where are we going here? Okay. I lost everything. Oh, no. See, now it's all about you. I get it. Helping to put Trump in office. Bro, I don't remember you ever working in an official capacity. Like, you were a very prominent face when it comes to the Trump movement, okay? Now, was that so much of you latching onto the movement as it was to helping it, like from the ground level up? Like, yeah, no, you were one of the many instrumental figures that have just kind of faded in the public esteem. Probably the most vocal one that was out there. But you know what else this reeks of? We'll just read the rest of the message, okay? My life and career were completely destroyed. Was it worth it? No, I feel utterly betrayed. I will have vengeance. Keep all of that in mind right there, okay? You know what that sounds like? Okay, it sounds like somebody who would be big mad about, well, I sent this YouTuber and a super chat and he didn't read it out. Now I'm just going to dedicate the rest of my life and I'm just going to become a reply guy, or I'm just going to make response videos and unfairly take their content out of quotations. It's like, bro, you built up a parasocial relationship or whatever the equivalent is in, I guess, real life, and you thought that you were more important to the Make America Great movement in 2016 than you actually were. Sorry about your warped perception of reality? I don't really know. And then, yes, the final message, and it's like, yo, this dude's just kind of spurging out. I'm just going to have to go ahead and unfollow him and, let him be resigned to the wastebasket of history. I am dedicating the rest of my life to the destruction of the Republican Party. Now, compare and contrast that with how much spurging out the media is doing of this meeting, okay? This dinner that Kanye West organized before he knew the other people that were associated with this meeting, okay? Hadn't met Milo before. Before going to Mar-a-Lago, never met Nick Fuentes before. And again, I'm not going to stay true to my principles on this one. It's like, yeah, I don't actively go out and search any Nick Fuentes content, okay? Mostly because his fake puker radio voice fucking pisses me off. Listen, if you want to be an authentic individual, talk like an authentic individual. This is my voice. There is no inflection. There is no additional tonality to it, okay? This is how I talk. If we ever meet in person, this is the way that you're going to hear me. That kid puts on a fucking voice. He does a puker announcer voice on top of everything, and it's fucking annoying to listen to. He might have some good talking points that are out there, and the clips that I see, some of them are taken out of context, okay? Some of them are said obviously in jest. I'm just not going through his catalog of fucking history in order to either disprove or prove it. I'm just gonna need stronger evidence that this guy actually wants to gas all the fucking Jews before I label him anything that's there. I just don't see it. But as for Milo, kind of have a track record. We have his words and now his actions trying to drag everybody down in the process down to his level. I don't like it. I think Milo should be back on Twitter. Fuck, he was one of the people that I said back when Elon Musk officially took over and he said that he was going to start unbanning different accounts. People were theorizing what accounts were out there. It's like Milo, he definitely got taken off for a terrible fucking reason. I still believe that 1000%. He should be back. He shouldn't have been deplatformed on anything. He was telling his own personal stories and the fucking mob came for him. Alex Jones, it was unfair the way that these people were treated. They didn't do anything to deserve the treatment that they got. Now, okay, you take a look at those two people that are out there. What has Alex Jones done? Okay, because he could make the exact same argumentation. What did he do? Strengthened his empire even in the face of what, $2.75 trillion fine? Like, what the fuck? Okay, he was kicked off of everything. And still, okay, and even though Elon Musk is dealing with Apple right now, so that's probably delaying the mass exodus of banned accounts, but Alex Jones's name is mud in the eyes of the uninitiated, of the people that don't actually know what's going on, kind of like what's happening with Kanye. But to just tie a bow on that, okay, Alex Jones didn't take that personally. He didn't start blaming the Jews or anything like that, which is just so fucking stupid. And one line that I did like, that I heard in the couple of minutes that Kanye got to talk before Tim Pool just fucking stampeded over top of him, because it's like, oh my god, it's been a couple of seconds and nobody's heard my voice and I just need to interject because it's all about me. Yuck. But he was talking about the way that he wanted to characterize they, them, whatever's inside the triple parentheses, okay? He makes the claim, it's like, okay, people want to talk about, politicians in particular, they want to talk about the black vote, okay? So you want to talk, you think that there's license to have, the ability to talk in generalities about certain groups. He worded it differently. He's got a different way with language than I do, okay? So I was like, yeah, you can talk about the black vote in a certain way, but if you want to talk about the Jews in a certain way, well, that's totally not allowed, okay? You can't be doing that. Why exactly is that? And that would have been another very interesting line of questioning that you could have gone through. But no, the rigidity of the program, the Timcast program. Oh, I thought we were going to talk about the news first, and then we can get into the anti-Semitism stuff. But no, Kanye West came in with his own plans. It's like, yeah, he's your guest. He has a reputation of being somebody who's going to be hopping all over the place. What you should be doing is knowing your interviewing skills. Either bring on somebody else who can help with the dexterity of the conversation, what you can expect from that, or you modify your scheme on the fly, but you're incapable of doing that. Adam Krigler laid out the fact that you are so rudimentary, and if anybody fucks it up, you scream like a pampered fucking child at them. Between that and just, milking your fan base, or he'd probably call them fan base. I think that is cringe as a motherfucker, but whatever, regardless, we're different people. Just milking them for money, and then when anybody would spend time and send you things in the mail, all you would do is just, open it up and make sure that there's no money inside before you threw it out. You fucking disgusting human being. I don't like him. I really don't like him. But it's not about my detestation of Tim Pool. Enough on the forefront here. So we covered Milo, covered Fuentes. Now we just got Kanye, okay? So let's talk about him, obviously. That's why everybody's here. Kanye West, the rapper, an entrepreneur, and two-time presidential candidate who has become infamous for his anti-Semitic views. Not really. Walked out of an interview Monday evening with podcaster Tim Pool. At the moment, the host mildly challenged his views on Jews. Not really. But again, I laid out everything because that clip of Kanye West of finally just having enough and walking out after 25 minutes, I think he should have hung in a little bit longer. And again, this just kind of makes his campaign just look a little bit off. It's like you can't handle just a simple amount of conversation without picking up and taking your ball and going home. And a handful of Oreo cookies, apparently. Like, nobody's going to take you seriously, and this is probably about the peak popularity of your campaign, and it's all fucking downhill from here. But whatever, man. The interview, which was streamed live on YouTube, hosted Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. He's got questions. I don't think he denied it happened. And if he did, it's like, okay, cool, I haven't seen that clip. And again, that's another mark in the nope category for him. It's like, I'm not a fan. I don't search out his content. But again, I don't think he should be banned either. I don't think that outside of actual calls to violence, like we're going to go down to I'm just using a random name that's out there. We're just going to go out to Jim's house at the end of the block. We're going to all meet up there. Everybody bring their firearms. We'll meet up at 4 p.m. and then it's open fire. That's organizing something that is an actionable call to violence. That's illegal. Shouldn't be allowed. That's out there. You do shit like that, or you spread around material that the public would find objectionable, but Valencia would put and include in an ad campaign. You do that type of stuff, you should probably have your fingers taken off so you can't use social media anymore. We could come to a conclusion as to what the punishment should be, but that's my stance on that type of stuff. Outside of that, man, let them all go. I couldn't give less of a fuck, but that's my position. That's my position, of course. Pool allowed West to express his views largely uninterrupted. Bro, were we not listening to the exact same conversation? Because, again, you knew exactly what you were going to be getting from Kanye West, and when he started to go a little bit sporadic, and even he was calling it out, it's like, I get 7 different thoughts in my head. Yeah, every once in a while, I just got to go in different directions. Now, he was trying to lay out a point, and then I think it was Luke or whatever, Epstein fellow. He was interrupting him. And then, yeah, Kanye was like, well, I just got to lay out the rest of my point. And then he continued to go on that way. But yeah, importance of having guests on a show is to highlight and emphasize your guests, okay? But that's not what this show is. It's come in and bask in the awe of all of Tim's big brain knowledge about everything that he knows about the news. Yeah. Like, you bring on Fresh and Fit, okay? Like, I'm big fans of them, but you got I don't know what your opinions are, and frankly, I listen to them, so I know their positions on things. You bring them in, okay, and then you want to run through the news, and then the only time that you talk about intersexual dynamics or dating or anything like that is when you get to the super chats at the end of the show. You're fucking doing it wrong, you idiot. But it's a wildly successful show because it just appeals to the mainstream, and he's mastered the algorithm, so obviously he's going to get pushed out there. Oh well. He claimed that his recent controversial dinner with former President Donald Trump had been scheduled last month, apparently before West was making anti-Semitic comments in the infamous DEFCON tweet. Yeah, and again, we've read that and highlighted it multiple times. And Kanye West, I think he's come out and said that he's dyslexic, or at least it's been highly implied. It's supposed to be DEFCON. I think he followed up that tweet with a clarification on that one. And DEFCON, as it was there, DEFCON 3 is middle of the road if you know anything about military strategy. But no, let's just go ahead and put as bad faith on this as possible, because it's very popular to shit on Kanye West right now. Hey man, got to give Tim his credit on this one. And like the position that I hold as well, Kanye West is being unfairly maligned. As for the other two individuals, I don't know. I'm more intimate with the work of Kanye as opposed to everybody else that's around there. Anyways, the dinner was postponed until after the midterm elections, or as Kanye said, because again, I got to do my research on this one, good faith on this stuff, okay? So I watched, all of the stuff that was there. It was on 2x speed though, because everybody talks at a very laborious pace, except for Tim, who makes up for his quick speaking cadence with not really saying all that much. Kanye said that they were scheduling a meeting, and it was scheduling a dinner. It was supposed to happen in October, but then Trump said that he was going to be making his announcement, so he pushed it until after the announcement. That's what happened there. Clarification, but again, I'm not writing an article for Breitbart. I don't need to get all of my facts complete, right? West confirmed that Trump did not know Fuentes, yes, and he also set up this meeting, and it's a very conspicuous, but again, Milo did work for Breitbart, so it could be also, outside of, just having his name right there. Kanye also pointed that out as well. Hadn't met him yet, but after Kanye was making some rumblings, I'm trying to remember this, after Kanye was making some rumblings that he might be making another campaign for president in 2024, Milo reached out to his campaign, because that's what I was wondering. It's like, okay, so how did this collection of people all show up? Okay, how did we get this? That's why it harkens back to some of Milo's old posts about wanting to destroy the Republican Party. Makes a lot of sense now there, doesn't it? Tim Pool then interrupted. Of course he did. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to run it back a little bit. West claimed that it was beautiful that people could see how Jews, whom he referred to as Zionists at one stage, cancel people. That's not exactly the fairest elaboration of his points that he was making, because he was talking specifically, and we'll get into that in a little bit, because there's some other things that he pointed out in that interview about how some money was getting taken out of banks and then it just moved around. Some more clarification in a different article. Tim Pool then interrupted. You went right into the anti-Semite thing. If you start bringing this up and you're going to ask my opinion on it, nobody was going to. Kanye was going to tell his story, and it's your and it's your responsibility as a podcast host, as an interviewer, to ask questions around that. And see, he was starting to get bitchy right off rip. It's like, not everything's going to my plans. It's like, you are hosting somebody who is famous for taking interviews in a different direction, and you didn't think that's what you were going to be getting there? You're not some fucking golden god on the hill that everybody has to bow to. Like, come on now. I'm going to disagree with you, West replied. I don't care about your opinion. And then he started to get up in his feelings about that. Kanye, you know exactly what you're going to be getting. It's going to be all feelings all the time. It's your responsibility for bringing him onto the podcast to adopt your interviewing strategy appropriately. But you can't, because you have no flexibility when it comes to that stuff. Oh well. He then claimed that Jewish people were allowed, Senator Barack Obama, to meet with a racist and anti-Semitic Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan in 2005. You're confusing a couple of things, okay? because Kanye was going back and forth about saying that he found it funny. See if I can get this right. He found it funny that Barack Obama was sitting right next to Rahm Emanuel, as well as Trump was sitting right next to Jared Kushner. Rahm Emanuel, schemer to the top, okay? I didn't know he was Jewish, but I think that's germane to the conversation. But Jared Kushner, yeah, terrible fucking advisor. And yeah, Kanye West talked with Farrakhan. Farrakhan's also very well connected, okay? There's several Democrats that are out there that, you know, just probably have Farrakhan on speed dial, so I don't know what we're talking about here. Poole expressed empathy for West's experience for being canceled. I think they've been extremely unfair to you. Who is they, though? West replied. We can't say who they is, can we? Corporate press, Poole replied. Fuentes interjected. Yeah, this was the only thing that he said during the entire conversation. It is not that. Oh, it is them, though, isn't it? It's like, bro, he knows this as well as anybody else, okay? It's like, there's certain things that you can't say on YouTube at the risk of being deplatformed. And Tim's YouTube's golden boy. I don't think that motherfucker's gotten a single strike that's out there. Could be wrong or something like that, but he's always seems to be the guy who's got the inside track at YouTube. So, but Fuentes, who's also been summarily canceled off of every platform as well, like he knows that there's rules, and then Tim has other rules for his show as well. So it was a bad mix of personalities to begin with, especially if you weren't going to be loosening up any of your restrictions and that you wanted everybody else to conform to your own worldview. It was just never going to work. Poole replied, "No, it's not. What do you mean it's not?" West asked, and then he stood up and left the room. And then Milo said, "Oh, I gotta go check on him." And then he went to go, upstairs. And I think Fuentes sneaked off camera, and everybody left afterwards. And then for the next, however long the podcast went, because that was about 25 minutes, it ended up going, I think the podcast in totality, 2 hours, 11 minutes. And then they just sat around and had a big cope session. And then Tim started to talk, big tough after that. Yeah, fucking midget. Luke Rudkowski, one of Tim Poole's co-hosts, said that West said that he was leaving "you don't believe in my truths." And again, his grasp on his usage of the English language is a little bit different. And, okay, cool. My truths from a guy who's all about feelings. It's on brand and it makes sense, okay? And again, you could have dived into that if you had a little bit more tact about you, but it's your own show and it's wildly successful. And you know what? You got all the fucking buzz that you wanted to. Poole reflected on West's decision to leave. "I'm sorry, bro," he said. "This is not a show where you can come in and talk by yourself and say things that warrant questioning. At the very least, that is fucking rich coming from Tim Poole, who does exactly that every fucking time he hops on camera. He's the center of attention. He's got to spew his facts and all of his information. But if anybody questions him, well, they kind of get fired behind the scenes." And another thing, I'm so glad I tuned in and listened to some of Adam Krigler's stories, but I'm sure more of those are going to be coming out, because this fucking snake, Tim Poole, I should pull up that tweet, that little fucker. After all of this stuff went down and Adam Krigler had his 6-hour-long live stream, I only caught a couple of hours on it, just 2 times speed and whatever. He went behind Adam's back to contact his wife. It's like, you fucking bitch. Not the wife. I'm sure she's probably a lovely woman. But if you can't be man enough to talk directly to the guy who doesn't have you blocked on Twitter, okay, you probably still have all of his contact information. You can't talk to him directly and you try to go indirectly to his wife. That's a bitch move, dude. And again, no respect left at all for Tim Poole. Fuck that dude. You'll be slinking into irrelevance just like Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire very shortly. Fucking mark it down. But I want to get into what Kanye West was talking about at least a little bit before he left. He started to allude to some stuff, okay? I mentioned him before about the banks and a bunch of different things. And, he was asking about, okay, listen, I got all of this money and I want to talk to the guy who's running the bank, okay? Chase Bank or something like that, Jamie Dimon or something like that. And it's like, listen, I'm just kind of a fly-by-night millionaire. I don't know necessarily how all this stuff goes. I had people before me, handling all this stuff. And now I'm coming to you with a bunch of money. I'd like to talk to the guy up at the top, see what we can work out and see what we can do. It's like, okay, cool. He wants to go talk to the guys who know the things so that he can properly set everything up, because there's going to be a lot of fucking business going on. I want to go all the way up to the top to make sure that this is the best fit for both parties. And then it was something about Adidas and Balenciaga putting in the bill for the ad revenue and a bunch of different shit that was down there. And long story short, Kanye was making these he was making these allusions. He was alluding to the fact that somebody was trying to put him in jail, and then he'd further elaborate on this. It's like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, he started to owe a lot of taxes. And in his line of work, whenever you say a lot of something, that means it's got to be a lot. You're speaking in nebulous terms right here. So after a little bit of communication, he figured out that it's about $50 million in taxes. What the fuck is going on? Kanye West says IRS froze bank accounts because he owed $50 million in taxes. This is very interesting. Kanye West claimed that the Internal Revenue Service placed a hold on 4 of his bank accounts and said that he owes the federal government $50 million in taxes. West made the claim on Tim Pool's stupid show that he suddenly left. Yeah, the interview, that's nice and everything. The rapper and designer who legally changed his name to Ye told Pool that his finance people told him that he would have to pay a lot of taxes. I'm talking about literally finding out that they are trying to put me in prison this morning. I found out, okay, so they put a $75 million hold on 4 of my accounts. And then they said, you owe a lot of taxes. It took me like 6 hours to find out how much a lot was. Well, it was around $50 million. Holy! Elaborating, West said that he's obviously not the most financially illiterate person on the planet. And then when you're dealing with multi-millionaires, even billionaires' taxes, that is something that only the highest echelon of accountants can really figure out and do properly. So yeah, I understand. You want to cross your T's and dot your I's. So now I get to actually learn how to run a company. I get to learn how to, to count really. It's like I don't even know where to put the money. Yeah, when JP Morgan Chase is like, nah, you can't bank here anymore. And it's like, well, I got all this money. What am I going to do with it? And it's like, well, you can't stay here. It's like, all right, bet. During the podcast, West was asked whether he could run for president while in jail. He wasn't asked. He just offered that up. It was like, then I had to figure out if I could run for president in jail. And it turns out that I can. So I got to figure out what I got to do with my money. And then they were starting to laugh and go back and forth. But no, Tim was up in his feelings. It's like, oh, we're not doing this my way. Fucking bitch. West said, I was a child, basically. When you become famous, you stop growing at a point. You become famous at age 24. I had handlers around. Pay attention to this, because this is where it starts to get like big sad, actually. I had my mom around. I had different things. It was always you go from one handler to the next handler. And then he also started to mention a former trainer that he had. Now, I'm also, if you don't know, I'm a certified personal trainer. I've got my degrees and, my official lift license from the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiologists. Yes, CSEP, CPT. I know my stuff when it comes to this, okay? So to hear him talk about an MK Ultra infused personal trainer that he had that was heavily medicating him, it's like, the fuck is going on? So I had to do a little bit of digging on this. And they gave the name during the podcast, and it's like, okay, take a look at this. And this is one of the first thing that comes up. You type in Harley Pasternak, Kanye West, and it gets dark. It gets incredibly dark. And then you start to understand, it's like, okay, cool. He was raised by a single mother. Okay. He obviously has dependence issues, fear of being alone. Like, I understand, man. And then getting tied up with some fucking terrible people that are leading you down an incredibly dark road. That includes heavily medicating people. Like it says right there, back to Zombieland. We've seen some of the text messages that they had in between these nefarious people. And then you compound that with the previous family that he was tangled up with and their history destroying men's lives. I feel really bad. I feel really bad for Kanye West, because this guy he's just going from a bad situation to another bad situation. And I understand you always have the choices in what you do in your life. But this is a guy, I've got nothing to back this up on this one, okay? I think that this is a guy with a good heart who has a good purpose, and he wants to do very good things for the world. He's just being advised by some people with nefarious motives that want to use his talents, his success, and all of his fame for their own, frankly, I'll just say it, evil purposes in order to further their cause at his expense. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, but here's what he's had to deal with before, and maybe this will elucidate a couple of things. Beloved celebrity trainer Harley Pasternak. Oh boy, until you run down some of his previous employers, and then it starts to become incredibly clear. Basically, think of all of your favorite celebrities who have died young, and Harley Pasternak has his fingerprints all over top of it. Threatened to institutionalize Kanye West so that the rapper would be medicated into zombie land forever. Following his anti-Semitic rants, yeah, but this was even before that as well, West shared text purposely sent by Pasternak, who is Jewish. I didn't know that, but that makes sense. That began by offering to have a loving, open conversation with him based on fact. Oh, great. And even before we get to this, because I might forget about this, okay. You see the people that are just handling Kanye West behind the scenes, in control of different things, keeping him out of certain information, like, you don't need to know how to run any of your money. Don't worry, we'll handle that for you. Wonder how many millions of dollars have been stolen from him, but regardless, okay. And then you have a trainer who's handling his medication. It's like, that's totally out of your purview when it comes to being a trainer. Like, what the fuck are you talking about here? You can talk about their exercise routine. You can talk about their sleep schedule and stuff like that. You can make advisements if you don't have another degree when it comes to being a registered dietitian or anything like that. You can make suggestions when it comes to diet, but no concrete prescriptions. But unless you're a doctor, bro, medication and shit like that, that's outside of your scope of practice. But when somebody's doing stuff like this to you and saying that it's all based in fact, there's a reason that he would go along using the word fact to emphasize the positions that he's taking that's out there. And then, of course, you have these opportunistic people that are around you, and it's like, okay, yeah, just continue to blame it on somebody else that's out there because I've got to fight a vendetta on the other hand. Oh, you see all of those people that are around you? They're all Jewish that are doing all of this stuff to you. Don't you find that funny? Is there a big conspiracy that's out there? It's like, it's probably a lot easier explained. It's just some corrupt people at the top. It's not all Jews. Okay, and I don't think Kanye has ever said that it's all the Jews, just the ones in the high power positions. And it's like, well, is it just because they're Jewish, or is that accidental? Is that coincidental to the situation? Well, once you get to that level, okay, there's a certain level of nepotism, certain level of networking that gets those people into those positions. So you're going to find Jews, Catholics, Muslims, all the way up at the top. Because guess what? Once you get to a certain level, you don't see color, you don't see creed, you don't see religion, you don't see race, you don't see any of that shit. All you see is one thing, the color green, how you can make more of it. Now let's get into what Pasternak was saying here, okay? Said that he was, based on fact, have an open and loving conversation. And then, this is going to be based in on fact. Pasternak also said that his former friend and client to refrain from cuss words or crazy stuff. Yeah, see, we're going to have an open, loving conversation in the confines in which I place around them. And it'll be based in fact on my end. You can't say anything that you want to because we're going to be talking about facts. See what happens? Second option, I have you institutionalized again. Sorry, what? Again? Where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same. Yeah. And that's the tweet in totality there. I don't like it at all. This is how a Hollywood trainer speaks to far more influential black celebrity when they get out of line. Yeah. Pasternak 48 didn't immediately return to page 6 request for comment. He would have just said, no. He's a crazy man. He's an anti-Semite. We don't like that type of stuff. As a Jewish man, I find that incredibly, it's like blah, blah, blah. We fucking get it. But there was some reference made to that during the Timcast episode that was on there. And Kanye started to get a little bit choked up. And it's like, well, I just wanted to make sure that my kids are taken care of. I know that, their mother's going to have, all of the money in the world. And now we can make certain of that now, can't we? Can you fucking believe this? Kim Kardashian settles divorce with Kanye West, gets 200, didn't stutter there for a second, just gets $200K in child support. Isn't she a billionaire? Isn't she a fucking billionaire? They are basically on equal fucking footing. I think I posited this opinion, back during one of the previous Kanye West videos. The Kardashians are pushing a certain narrative in order to make sure that Kim Kardashian gets all of the custody of all of the kids right now. Drags the name of those kids' father through the fucking dirt, only to make her washed up ass seem a little bit more normal in comparison. I hate this. I hate this so much. Because you take a look, okay, I think that there's some validity to that. If we want to talk conspiracy here for a second. She gets all the press. She's on every fucking magazine, and it's been that way for the better part of 2 goddamn decades. It gets the clicks. She's consistently one of the most famous people in the world. So the effective smear campaign, I would argue that she has she has more than just fingers in this, okay? I bet it's whole fists or whole pieces of ass, really. 42-year-old single mother and the Yeezy CEO, 45, will have joint custody with equal access to their 4 children. Okay, cool. So if there's equal access, okay, if it's joint custody, if it's come as you'd like, okay, stay as long as you want. Why does she get $200,000 in child support? Why does that happen? However, sources close to the Kardashians said that the matriarch, yuck, will continue to have the kids 80% of the time, as West previously admitted to in September. Of course, your standard, the woman will always get custody of the kids, unless, of course, she is a drug addict or doing illegal shit. Settlement also notes that the gold digger rapper will have to pay his ex-wife $200,000 a month. A month. She needs that much money. She needs $200,000 a month. The fucking court system is dog shit. He is also reportedly responsible for 50% of the children's educational expenses that she's going to have a exclusive jurisdiction over selecting. Okay. Such as their tuition and security expenses. I despise this ever so much. That is anything but fair, but honest, but anything. This is a man who's been used and abused. This is just my opinion, okay? He has been put through the ringer. He is continuing to be put through the ringer, given bad advice and being used by some bad faith actors. But now, after he's all been good and used up by whatever crew that he's running with right now, he can just get tossed to the side right there. There's an expiration date on him, and I hope he pulls out of this. I'm still going to be keeping an eye on this because he's a good man, he's an honest man, and hopefully he gets an opportunity, at least on a real show, to outline his positions and maybe elaborate on some of his thoughts. I think that would be incredibly interesting. But until that point, and with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.